Hey, it's Kyle, and today we'll be reviewing The Lost City of Z by David Grann. This is a non-fiction book. To kind of give you the setup of what this book is about, I'm actually going to read the inside cover because it gives a real good brief summary of what this book is about, much better than I could phrase it, so excuse me for reading for a second here. After stumbling upon a hidden trove of diaries, acclaimed New Yorker writer David Grann set out to solve the greatest exploration mystery of the 20th century. What happened to British explorer Percy Fawcett and his quest for the lost city of Z? In 1925, Fawcett ventured into the Amazon to find an ancient civilization, vowing to make one of the most important archaeological discoveries in history. For centuries, Europeans believed the world's largest jungle concealed the glittering kingdom of El Dorado. Thousands died looking for it. Over time, many scientists came to view the Amazon as a death trap that never could support a complex society. But Fawcett, whose daring expeditions helped inspire Conan Doyle's The Lost World, has spent years building his scientific case. Captivating the imagination of millions around the globe, Fawcett embarked with his 20-year-old son, determined to prove that this ancient civilization, which he dubbed Z, existed. Then he and his expedition vanished. Fawcett's fate and the tantalizing clues he left behind Z became a obsession for hundreds who followed him into the uncharted wilderness. For decades, scientists and adventurers have searched for evidence of Fawcett's party in the lost city of Z. Countless have perished, been captured by tribes, or gone mad. As David Grann delved deeper into the mystery surrounding Fawcett's quest and the greater mystery of what lies within the Amazon, he found himself, like generations who preceded him, drawn into the jungle's green hell. His quest for truth and his stunning discoveries about Fawcett's fate and Z formed the heart of this enthralling narrative. Like I said, this is a non-fiction book, but I'll say, in many ways, the action and mystery of this book really reminds me of a fiction book. As you got from that brief description, Percy Fawcett was a very famous explorer in the early part of the 20th century. I would almost compare him to like an Indiana Jones type figure. He became known around the world for exploring various parts of South America that had never been charted before. In fact, there are several of the more wild parts of South America that the countries there actually hired him to officially survey where the borders of the countries were. And a lot of these places, he was the first white European to go into these parts of the country. Before, it had just been completely the native tribes there, and a lot of people just thought it was impossible for a European to penetrate a lot of these areas of the country. And yet he succeeded. He became known as probably the best-known explorer in the world of the tropical rainforest. And this search for this lost city of Z really much became his obsession. So I would almost compare this book as almost like a non-fiction version of Indiana Jones and some quest that Indiana Jones went on to, except in this case it's a quest that Percy Fawcett went on to and he never returned from. And that's really, like I say, almost half the book's almost an adventure book. The second half is almost a mystery book as they try to discover what happened to Fawcett. And nobody knows to this day. It's still just best guess scenarios, what they think, very much educated guesses. They still really don't know. But the author presents a very compelling case of some instances of what might have happened. I think he's compiled the most information on Fawcett's journey that's ever been put together. So I think the best case scenario for what happened to him has been laid out in this book. So like I said, if you don't like nonfiction, don't let the fact that this is a nonfiction book scare you off, because it's very much more of an adventure novel, a mystery novel. The author also does a great job at kind of exploring what drives adventurers like Percy Fawcett and a lot of the other adventurers who afterwards went into Amazon to try to find Percy Fawcett. What drives individuals like that to take such risks, to delve into the unknown and try to discover something new? Everybody has something they almost look for, like in this case, a lot of them were looking for Percy Fawcett. Percy Fawcett was looking for the lost city of Z. None of them really found what they were looking for, but the author still does a really interesting job at exploring what drives individuals like this. So I really enjoyed this nonfiction book, The Lost City of Z. It's fascinating. I never really knew much about Percy Fawcett. I'd heard his name once or twice, but I knew really nothing about him. So it was interesting to learn about him. South American history is really not one of my areas of expertise, even though I consider myself a history buff. But this period of South American history is not really a topic I really consider myself really well versed on, so I enjoyed learning about that. But at the same time, like I said, it's almost really like reading a book about Indiana Jones, except it's about a real life Indiana Jones and Percy Fawcett. So if you like movies kind of like Indiana Jones in that same category, or if you like a good mystery novel, since this does have a lot of mystery in it, I would really encourage you to check out The Lost City of Z. It's a really compelling read. It reads really quickly. You know, some nonfiction books tend to be slow read. This one reads pretty quickly. I think it'd be well worth your time. I'll also be interested in seeing, I've heard and seen stuff online that they're thinking of trying to make this in a movie, but I haven't been able to track down any more details, so I'll be interested to see if it does become a movie, which again shows you how good of a story this is, that they're thinking of turning this nonfiction book into a movie. You know, usually you hear that more about fiction books now, you know, like Harry Potter or The Hunger Games. I guess that kind of shows you the quality story that this nonfiction book has, that Hollywood's looking at it for a possible movie. So I would encourage you to check out The Lost City of Z, A Tale of Deadly Obsession on Amazon by David Grann. I think you'll really enjoy it. I know I did, and I highly recommend it. And I hope you'll read it. If you do, please let me know. I'd love to hear what your opinions of the book are, and I'll see you at my next review.